I'll go ahead and call us to order 4:36, so we're a little bit behind. But we'll get started. Does everyone have a copy of the agenda? We have some extra copies here, like another one. Board members should have gotten the same information today. It's the same one that's sent out at noon today, so there aren't any updates. There shouldn't be any other amendments either, so if there aren't any other amendments that you have for the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve it as is by Leon. And a second by Sarah. All those in favor, please audibly say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Perfect. Next is did I put November? It should be December. Sorry, that's should be amended to the agenda. December minutes that were sent out, I think on Monday as well. If you were not here, you had a chance to review them. If you are here, please let me know any other edits. I have two. First is for Leon and Amber both to be added to those minutes as excused absence. If anyone else was not present with an excused absence, let us know so we can make sure that's noted on the December minutes. Any other amendments to the minutes? Yes.
Maybe I didn't see it, but I think we done, and I didn't see it in the minutes.
That is an important addition as well.
I think it was after we had called the meeting. That might be why.
It was almost.
Yeah, okay, it's like on the line.
We were still
Okay.
in session, yeah.
Got it.
So that would be Donna's resolution on the recorded in the official minutes. Yes. Any other amendments to the December minutes that we can tell so far?
Last one, I could also be added to excused absence. What was the second one?
Amber, Leon, and Sarah.
Leon, you broke our attendance record. We both had perfect attendance.
Can't have it all. Okay, with those amendments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the December minutes as we just said by Amber. A second by Carmen.
I thought I moved, but
You're too
that's fine, whatever. Just
Those in favor, please audibly say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Perfect. We'll make sure to get those updated. We had a new board member to introduce, and I don't know if he is here. I've not seen him. So we've had a couple of different board changes. One, a few months ago, Matt Golden left us, last meeting, that was December. Donna left us, and actually concurrently with that, but we did not discuss it in the meeting. Kendra, thank you. Also had to resign, and it's all for good reasons. Her business is just doing incredibly well, and she can no longer commit the time. So she did formally submit her resignation. So that takes us where we were from 16 down to 13, but we have added a new board member who will sit in the same seat as Matt Golden. We were hoping she'd be with us tonight, but that's all right. She's already kind of updated on where we are and where things are going. So hopefully we'll see her for the next meeting, at which point we'll do some introduction of who she is. If we have any additions for the other two seats that are open, then we'll do those at the same time. So we'll skip over that for tonight. Yes.
Go ahead. You go for it.
Does she have a name?
Yes. I wanted to introduce her, but if she was going to introduce her. LaChara Owens. That's capital L-A, or I'm sorry, capital L-A, capital C-H-A-R-O. Owens.
Like O-W-E-N-A.
O-W-E-N-S, yes. So whenever she joins us, we'll have introductions, but that's where it stands. So we are at a total of 14 board members.
So my question is gonna be, she just slide in and fill Matt's spot on the outreach committee, or is it do you have a committee you would like to join kind of situation?
Second option. So once she's kind of abreast of what the committees do, not just like on paper, but also what's going on right now, we'll give her the option to see where she fits in, because I think every committee is missing
Yeah, that makes sense. Stuff,
So it's
just,
an
yeah, yeah,
open.
I would say, but we would strongly push because, we only have 3 people, so. They get encouraged.
yeah. Are we campaigning here? That's what we're doing too? We bring cookies and milk to all our meetings. What do you
Okay, we'll move on. So this is a little bit of an added, portion to the agenda that I think is an important one, and will be a standing one. So, everyone knows that we do have she's here. We'll give her a round of applause. Wherever you are. We just finished talking about you. What glorious word. So.
And you're on 3 boards.
That's what happens.
So I'll pause where I was and we'll kind of go back to introductions. So, sorry to put you on the spot, but you are on our agenda to discuss. We have not met yet, but I'm Stacy. This is Lacharo Owens, as I just mentioned, and she'll be joining us as our new board member. If everyone wants to go around real quick, say who you are and what either district or demographic you represent, that would be great, so she can get a feel for us. Sorry, Leon, I'm part of.
Leon Cook, representing District B.
Clinton Hill, representing District B.
Tom Simon, representing District C.
Heather McLeod, I'm the mayor's representative.
I'm actually fully in District D.
Ulysses Lane with seniors.
With the
Representing the seniors.
I'm Sarah Blova, I'm with District E.
Stacy, who is District A,
And chair.
and board chair.
Amber.
Sorry, we're District B. I'm Carmen Coffin, and I don't remember who I represent, so I kind of represent everybody.
I am Trishana, I was an at-large appointee, and I am the secretary.
I'm Dale Weekbo. Work with City of Raleigh and liaison.
And then we also have 2 other City of Raleigh staff members from the Office of Community Engagement. You guys want to introduce?
I'm Natalie Morata, Assistant Community Engagement Manager for the Office of Community Engagement, and I help with the policy and outreach committees. I'm Ellen Colon, I'm also with Community Engagement, and I work with all of the boards and commissions.
So you'll get to enough, but thank you for being here. We're excited to have you, not just in this meeting, but on the board and to bring all the experience that you have to help us. Help all of us, yeah, we're excited. Okay, so I was mentioning the city council update. So everyone knows we have a city council member who is a liaison for this board, Councilwoman Joan. Oh, there you are. And I thought it might be important for us to have some time during this meeting for us to just get an update on whether it's, something we might have missed in the city council meeting or something pertinent to the board or just a community issue that we're not aware of, for her to be able to apprise that stuff as a board as well while we're all already here. So I didn't ask anybody. I don't know if I have that power, but I just added it to the agenda and it'll be a standing opportunity for her to discuss important information tonight. So I kind of put her on the spot because we didn't really talk about anything specifically, but she's gonna share with us what she has.
Got it. Hey, guys. My name is Christina Jones. I am the District E representative for City Council. I'm also the liaison for the Community Engagement Board. For those of you who are just meeting me now, I'm also a, if you're just meeting me now, my history's in CACs, in community engagement within the city since 2017. And so this is really a piece of my heart, and I'm really honored to be part of your meetings and to learn from you, because I think resident voice is really what helps push the city forward. So I really appreciate you guys taking your time out of your schedules to be here and to really help amplify resident voices. I don't have a lot. I want to acknowledge that we will be having a retreat on the 26th, 27th. Our city council retreat is open to the public. The first day, we're going to be at the Cary Soccer Park. And the second day, we will be at the Active Adult Center, 5 Points Active Adult Center. Our agenda will come out, but I just want to let you guys know we will be talking about public comment. We'll be talking about community engagement and CAC structure. So all of those will be discussed and you'll see that as the agenda comes out. I don't know when that is, but I know that they have to do at least 10 days, or I'm sorry, the Thursday before, not 10 days, but just like our city council meeting agenda notes that come out the Thursday before, the same would happen for that. So I'm hoping, we're trying to push for the agenda to come out earlier so you guys know, but for your purposes, just so you know, we will be discussing all of those issues and can't wait to hear from staff and having really robust, as we like to say a lot, conversation around how we continue to put residents at the center point of every decision that we make on city council. As you guys saw, we worked last year on ensuring the 3 minutes. That was again, mind you, we did have 240 people signed up to speak yesterday. So it was a lot, but I really see that as a reflection on council and what they want to see from us and that they're not seeing. So I don't think that that's something that we'll always have. And if it is, I think we need to come up with alternatives to how we handle that, because our primary purpose is to represent residents. So I definitely want to hear their voice in full at every chance, at every opportunity. I think that's all the notes that I have. Jane Harrison is here. She is District D council member, Jane Harrison.
This year, the visitor.
Visiting and wanting to hear. And so is there anything that I missed that you think that we need to make sure to amplify here?
I will just say that there is an opening for a District DC on the Community Engagement Board. So if anyone has any needs for folks that are on the board, if you're thinking of, hey, we're missing a particular type of voice or background, let me know. So that's something that I'm trying to figure out and get that filled.
Definitely.
Good to see you all. I'm glad to have a full house. Yeah, great.
That's
We're
amazing.
missing a youth.
Missing a
We
youth.
have a huge.
That's why I get the missing one.
I need some gray hair.
So all great points. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise,
Good, how you doing? One thing for clarification, I've been asking, and maybe I missed it, but as each of us talked about our representative positions on this board, did the council decide if that was just to be a representative position or responsibility? Say if I'm seniors, it's my responsibility to communicate and have a network with all the seniors or youth or whatever. Can you clarify that?
I can't, because I have not spoken to the board. I know we talked about it last month. You guys brought that up last month at the meeting. We have not had a sit down where we've all discussed. I think we'll further clarify that. A good place would be the retreat to do that. It's really the only time we're all together. We will be together next week at our meeting, but it's not on the agenda that I'm aware of. So I would say I'm going to put a placeholder in that until the retreat, but I will make sure to uplift it and clarify the roles and responsibilities for each of the designations in the board.
That's also a great point. And I think we mentioned if we entered a conversation with, Taisha, because she was instrumental in that kind of stuff. So she would also be a good point person to guide that.
And since I wasn't on council when this was made, I can't say as to the history of what the purpose was. That was before my time. So I will learn and I will definitely uplift that during the retreat to get further clarification. Thank you.
Christina, question, since the city council meeting was canceled yesterday, for the people who signed up for 240, are they going to automatically be reassigned? They have to re-up.
They do have to re-up.
Okay.
So we are not at this moment in time adding another meeting. Normally we have 2 public comment opportunities. Yesterday, due to weather and making sure safety was a priority, that was canceled. It was not postponed or scheduled.
Yeah.
So all of that will transition to next week's and everyone will need to re-sign up. Currently, it's a 1 o'clock meeting. So I know that disenfranchises those who are working. Totally understand that. However, next week is going to be really interesting to watch out for. I have no official note, but we have a meeting, we have public hearing to go through. We have a really important closed session to discuss missing middle and then public comments. So there has been some discussion of, is that public comments going to happen at 1 o'clock or is that going to be reassigned? And that I don't have the answer to, because I don't know how they want to lay that out. We had a brief conversation that city business would happen first and then, but that has not been articulated because if you go to the sign up page, it still says 1 o'clock. So I will continue to look for clarification on that and make sure that gets translated out to the public. But thank you for the question. Cool. Anything else? Well, I look forward to listening and learning from you guys. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Actually,
Yes, ma'am.
I do have one question, and it comes out of some comment that has been other places stated that there is some feeling among some members of the public that the Community Engagement Board is a dog and pony show. And I would like for the council to clarify what is expected out of the Community Engagement Board publicly as a group, as opposed to us hearing from individual people out in the community who are spreading that kind of what I consider to be falsehood and social media twist of
Man,
that.
social media is fun, right? No, I am so honored that you guys choose to serve, and I want to make sure that that's clear throughout. I don't know the answer, again, because I wasn't on council, so I don't understand the official purpose, but I will get that clarification so that we can reiterate that all of your voices here mean so much on council, that what you guys did with public comment, what you guys are working on in making the video, it's impactful and it's so needed. So I'm sorry that you've heard those. It is not the feeling of council. We are so excited to hear your recommendations and everything that you guys discuss, but I hear your point and that we need to make that a public clarification so that everyone knows exactly what we are expecting of you. And I will make sure to push that as well.
And Carmen, later on, there'll be something inside of the outreach committee stuff that ties into combination of that video and then some of the listening session things that we discussed that will broaden the outreach of who we are and get who we are. So we've been kind of working through that. There's some description of it, but one of the things was to tie in with them and say, hey, we need some help. Lift us up a little bit. So we're thinking on it for sure. Yeah. You're welcome.
I thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we're going to move into our own public comment period. So if you've not been to a community engagement board meeting, we have a public comment period as well. It is a 3-minute time limit here as well. If you need hand signals or any indicators, I can do that to let you know where you are in your 3 minutes. If you would like to give some comment, you are welcome to. We do ask that you sign in. We just have somewhere, I think it's on that end, information sheet that you can let us know who you are. We are in a process of creating a sort of feedback loop for public comment. So you will hear something from us after you come and speak. So it's important for us to be able to contact you. So whatever you're comfortable leaving, phone number, email, any of those things would be great. If you would like to leave a comment, please, or give a comment now, just start on this end. But
Before we open it up, if you do give public comment, I ask that you like say your name out loud and slowly so I can make sure I get it in the notes as well. And if some people like to draft their comments, so just if you have it, you can hand it to me. That's it.
Okay, so we'll start on this end. If you'd like to introduce yourself, you can. If you'd like to leave a comment or give a comment, you can. If you just want us to move on, just wave and we'll.
You want me to run a timer? You got it.
I passed.
Well, thanks for coming.
I have no comment.
Thanks for being here.
My name is Aliana Wilson. I'll introduce myself really quickly. I was just hired as the Community Watershed Ambassador for the Partners for Environmental Justice, but I have no comment.
I'm Pam Franklin with Partners for Environmental Justice.
Well, I'm Bob Edgerton, and of course I do. Welcome to our room. For over 40 years, the Southwest CAC met in this room. And I have had the privilege of being chair for the last 5.5 years. Who would believe 65 meetings? We continue to go on virtual. I'm very fortunate that we have the tech guru with us. And I look forward to seeing Chris from over at Healing Transitions with us all the time. And it's been a privilege to have you all come here. We hope to be returning to this room in the near future. I've been reassured that if we're good and we behave, fine things will happen in 2024. Okay, we don't need a lot of money. We just need a roof over our head on occasion. So thank you for being here, and friends and neighbors, you're always welcome to come on the second Monday night of every month. Thank you.
I'm Robert Steele. I didn't really prepare comments for this meeting, but I did want to speak at it. Ms. Coughlin, I heard you say that there was some comments about how this board is not really serving a purpose, I guess, other than kind of as a figurehead. But Raleigh City website lays out the responsibility of this board. Number one is to review existing community engagement policies, practices, procedures, etc., and provide recommendations for improvement. I can tell you 2 places to start to do improvement right now. Tell the city council to remove the ability for the mayor, mayor pro tem, or presiding officer to shorten public comment time. 3 minutes is the bare minimum. 1 minute is not enough time for somebody to put together coherent thoughts as to why they have a problem and how to fix it. 3 minutes is a minimum. The guarantee that was mentioned, March 21st, was a unanimous vote. But obviously 4 members of the council don't care. They're perfectly willing to go back on their own word. Don't know why. I don't know if it's because they just don't want to sit there for that long. If that's the case, move the meeting to a Saturday. Start it at 10 o'clock in the morning. Do 2 Saturdays a month. There's 400,000 plus people in the city of Raleigh. A good chunk of those people cannot afford to take time off on a Tuesday, as was mentioned, at 1 o'clock to go talk to the city council. But the city council at the city level is supposed to be the most accessible level of government to the people who live there. But it's not. In a city that is too expensive to live in, that you can't take time off of work to go talk to your government officials. Number 2, bring back the citizens advisory councils. They weren't perfect, and the city support for them, God knows, was not perfect. And that's where we need to focus our attention at and making it better. But bring them back. The community engagement office has a lot of outreach. But the city has been limiting the amount of input from residents for the last several years. City council's job is to represent the people. Can't do that if they're not hearing from them, and 1 minute is not enough time to hear from them. But the staff's job is to support city council policies, and that's easier to do when staff knows what residents want as well. So bring back the citizens advisory councils. I recommend we make them smaller, more focused. Again, 400,000 plus people living in the city, 17 CACs is not enough. And don't gerrymander them like they were before, because if you look at the map of them, they're pretty atrocious. They almost look like North Carolina's Senate and House districts. Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'm Jen Truman, and glad that you guys are here in our neighborhood, as Bob said. I can be here today, even though I have 4 little ones now, because you guys are at the community center and not just downtown. So I definitely wanted to speak up just to say thank you for being here and being at the community centers. I know you guys are going all around the city. I think it makes a really big difference. And I wanted to say, you know, there's tons to be said about CACs and community engagement and what it could have, should have, would have been over the last couple of years. But I really appreciate the efforts that you as a board are putting into both like meetings and community engagement through meetings, but also with staff, with the engagement portal, with all the other methods of asynchronously giving input are much appreciated. Like I said, as a working mom, I can't always show up and speak out, and I do more often than most people. But being here at the community center, I think makes that possible. So I just wanted to take part of this minute to just say that if you thought about in an ideal world, what community engagement with the city and city departments could look like, being able to get in touch with anyone from the city and have those engagements at the community centers, which there are even more of than there ever were CACs, I think is a really intriguing idea that we should explore more. If it was possible to talk to a planner or talk to water or public utilities or whoever right here at the community center, I think
about all the times that me and my kids spend here, or when they were at Aftercare at Ralph Campbell and other places, like, it's easy to be at the community center because I'm here already with my kids to play sports or work out or do other things. So this is just one person's opinion to say, explore the possibility of more of what you're doing here today, not just for you, but for other parts of the city. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Oh, was we going over
Stand
I was gonna be quiet for once in my life. But I'm Eugene Meyer, I'm a District C, resident. But just to, piggyback off what the gentleman said, I just, with, the mayor reducing the talk time from 3 minutes to 1 minute, I think if that was something that this advisory board came up with, I could see why, people might have said, oh, it's just a dog and pony show, you know what I'm saying? Because of what the mayor's actions were, and make reflect bad on you all. And the 2 times that I know when I was there, when it happened, it was really unfortunate because I believe maybe half of that audience were blind or some type of disability where they had a problem with the transit issues. So for her to reduce their time when they were already having issues with transportation, it was like, it was just disheartening. And even now with the issue with what's going on in Palestine, folks are literally talking about their family members that are being killed and things like that. So to reduce the time again, it's like, it's just insensitive. So I would hate that it would reflect on this board. And I like to learn, I like to listen, I like to hear what other people have to say as well. So that's what I'm here.
Thank you.
And I'm Keisha, I'm his wife. Hi, and please flag me down because I can go all day. I did prepare remarks, but I forgot them, so just forgive me if I ramble a little bit. But for one, I'm so appreciative of each of you. I realize that we all have families, responsibilities, bills, and sometimes it really is a big deal to have to, it's a sacrifice. And we're just very appreciative. I'm comfortable in representing, the folks in my neighborhood to express our appreciation for all you do to volunteer your time to be a voice for the voiceless. And so my husband and I have been, I guess, somewhat more active in the community, maybe over the past year and a half. And there's a reason for that. It's because when you aren't being heard, you automatically feel deflated and defeated. What's the use in going to city council if all I'm gonna do is continuously say the same things over and over again and no one is, and they're literally not listening. What I had written in my notes, I had actually a laundry list of all of the times that I personally have been shut down or muted. It actually started with signage when I started being more active in public comment. I saw some folks use signage. I'm like, oh, that's an excellent way to extend my thoughts and what I'm feeling. Well, like a week after I brought my sign, then the sign was shrunken. Then the following week, I brought in like a regular piece of paper. They told me I couldn't bring it in because the edges were too sharp. Then I started utilizing, I love Canva. So I started really getting, really fancy and unique to try to communicate some of the ideas and issues we were having by using pictures and video and really, really being robust. Well, then my presentation disappeared. I can go on and on and on, but it's extremely frustrating when you have serious issues, serious life-affecting issues, not only me personally, but my elderly neighbors and folks who don't necessarily have the courage to speak in front of, an audience. Eugene and I have dedicated ourselves to, at least dedicated more time to at least trying to be a voice for the voiceless. And it is so frustrating, of course, with I think Mr. Steele was talking about the time being reduced. Again, we realize that you can't fix it all. you know, I have emailed the mayor on various occasions, have said this in public comment, and my email got blocked. I've never been disrespectful. I just have concerns. And so with that being said, please just continue to amplify the need to hear from the residents. Eugene and I have lived on every coast. This is a small, relatively small town. It's not impossible. You know what I mean? The community should have a partnership with city council and with everyone else to make this a better city. Shut up. To make it a better city. So thanks for listening. And again, we do appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Introduction, no comment. Chris Bundy, with the nonprofit called Holy Transitions, serving homeless, uninsured, and underserved men and women. We have a campus in District D and a campus in District E.
My name is George Jones. I am the Executive Director for Partners for Environmental Justice. Two of my other colleagues just introduced themselves. We have been very fortunate over the past several decades working in not only Southeast Raleigh, but along the Walnut Creek watershed, which is about a 46 square mile radius and encompasses District C and District D. We have recognized over the last decade the growth of this area, specifically the $2.75 billion infrastructure projects along the middle section of our watershed, South Saunders, Lake Wheeler Road here with Centennial Campus and Dix Park and others. And we've seen this major infrastructure that's happening in the middle of the watershed. As we go downstream from Hammond to Barwell Road, that area is an area that has not had as much resource support by the city or other community-led operations. And so we're going to be placing greater emphasis on making sure that the voices of those communities are heard. We're looking for ways to convene with the community, with the city as well, and be an integral partner to that model. I just want to make one real strong comment. I love what this opportunity looks like on paper. I would love to be a part of, we would love to be a part of helping to convene and engage community residents, particularly in those areas. Because oftentimes, as it's been mentioned, there's been a lot of voiceless scenarios. And I'll just say this, with the infrastructure planning that's happening with the city, co-development is really happening at a fast speed. You're looking at anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 units for just one or two of these major commercial developments. And for those residents living in properties, say Rochester Heights or Apollo Heights or Nottingham Woods or Sherwood Forest, all up and down the watershed, a lot of those communities were built in the 1960s. You have some 25,000 residents between Hammond Road and Barwell Road. And those cities, those communities are literally getting taxed out. And so we need to be looking for a way to convene, to discuss not only the communities in terms of their social and economic vulnerability, but more importantly, how can we ensure that infrastructure and equitable development and opportunity is still part of the community residents in this area to be a part of it. It's great when we have people coming from all parts of the country and all parts of the world, but it's also very important to maintain community support for local residents that have been here for a while. All right, thank you. Thank you.
One sec. I'm Jean Spooner, and I come to you today with two hats. I am a resident of, I like to think District D. Technically, I'm right on the edge with the ETJ. If you go the house next to me, they're in the city. So, and I also, but it's rich, Reedy Creek, Richland Creek, drainage area, Crabtree Creek kind of area. And I also represent the Umstead Coalition. I'm the chair. We are the organization that supports William B. Umstead State Park in terms of service and in protection. And the subject I wanted to reach out to you about was what the CACs had offered that I would hope we could strengthen. And that was an outreach to the community about what large subdivision plans were coming forward and what zoning was coming forward, and input proactive from the citizens there were, the end was a vote. It's actually reported to the council for every zoning. And it was also an interaction with the city staff, the planning department, the citizens could, and also the developer. And I'll share with you an example of where not having the Northwest Umstead CAC, I think, hurt the community. So you can see where, an example of what we could look for. When we had the CAC, there was a notice of zonings that came out. But without that, there was only notice to the 500 feet neighbor to have the neighborhood meeting. Well, bandwidth on Reedy Creek Road, neighbors it was state property. The neighbors are all the state property. The only neighborhood entity that was advised to come to a neighborhood meeting was the church since removed out of the corridor, who manages a small historic cemetery. So essentially dead people were all that were notified. There's something wrong there because there's a lot of people and a lot of other interests. The state, and it's very mixed. It's very of local, state, public and private property there. And nobody was informed until way, way late in the process. And then all the council could do at that time was to say, pretty please work with the neighbors. Well, it's kind of late, right? After you've approved a zoning. So I expect some more of that might happen because of course there's a lot of state land by the arena. So I think we're gonna have a lot of great community engagement opportunities or some lack thereof. And I hope we share on the lots of engagement, early and often engagement. And so those are some of the things that I saw at the CACs that, I would hope we could reinvigorate. And of course, I know it's over 3 minutes, but William B. Umstead State Park for almost entirely is in the city limits of the city of Raleigh, just in case you didn't know that. Thank you. Yeah.
My name is Will Hooker and I'm in District E. I only have a short thing to say. I've signed up to get the emails from the city about things that are happening. And the emails that come have so little information that I just delete them. They're bad. They don't give the agenda. They don't give anything. I've got to go through and dive into what's happening in the website. And that just turns me off and leaves me cold. So I want more information on that announcement, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Helen Tart, and I wanted to tell you my story. Back in '99, I got a letter. I was within 500 feet about a car wash. I live at the corner, near the corner of Glasscock and Brookside, and we have a wonderful little development there now. But back then, it wasn't so wonderful, and they wanted to put a car wash there. It was smack dab in the middle of two historic districts, and there were also 3 car washes, and it was really a bad idea. And luckily, I had heard of the CACs, and we were in North Central, and I got in touch with the longtime president, Octavia Rainey, and she helped the neighbors organize. And we went to the city council, and basically the council sort of stomped on the poor little developer because there were, 15 of us. And but then, because he had been shown the power of the neighbors, he met with us. We told him what we wanted to see on that corner. And he got an architect to draw it. It took 15 years for it to get built. But the CACs with their reaches, especially the smaller CACs, as Rob said, that they do need to be organized by population. And, so we need more of them. But, the fact that everybody in the city was a member, whether they knew it or not, and most of them didn't know it because the city didn't tell them that. And, you know, the real estate people didn't tell them that. And, but it was, I got involved with the CAC after that, and it, is, good to have somebody who understands the history of an area and, has worked with the city, which, is, and the city is not as hard to work with as you think. It really isn't, but you have to get to the right people. And there are a lot of people in the city that really want to help you. That's a good place to be.
Like you planned it out.
May I have I passed before, may I change my?
Absolutely. Okay, go ahead.
I'm Connie Crumper, I'm in District D, I live in the Raleigh community. And, you know, I love CACs as well, because even though population wise, percentage wise, we didn't have a huge percentage of people that came on a regular basis. But if there was something happening in somebody's front yard, you can bet your bottom dollar they were coming to the CAC meeting because they knew it was a place they could talk to people who would listen. And I miss that. Like I said, I live in the Raleigh community. I live between where downtown South is going to be and is it the Gateway Park and all of this other building that's being built. And I hate my neighborhood. We hear a lot about Southeast Raleigh, but Raleigh is one of those in Southwest Raleigh that was an affordable neighborhood for people to live. I live in a house my grandparents built in the 50s, and there are still some other people in my neighborhood who grew up there. Not a lot. Most of it now is changing. We have a diverse racial group and people get along with each other. The Baptist church that's been in my neighborhood forever has just opened its doors to a Hispanic group that needed a place to meet. So, I mean, we get along, and I hate to see that kind of neighborhood be pushed out, and I do have that fear with all of the building that's going around us, that we will be pushed out. And I would like to think that there would be someone, whether it be your committee or UCACs, if we have that, that would look after the average person and not just the rich guys. That's all I'm gonna say.
Again, thank all of you so much for being here and for sharing, whether you just introduced yourself and gave us a wave or left comments. Again, if you were not able to sign in initially, please make sure that you do, especially if you left a comment so that we can follow up with you at some point in time. We did have a few people, I don't think I mentioned this. This is the second meeting that we are able to digitally broadcast our meetings. So this contraption here that does look like an owl actually is called an owl. So if you're not able to make it to any of the meetings, you can always watch virtually. If you are watching virtually, you cannot leave a comment via the owl or digitally. You cannot do it online, but we do have a voicemail option as well for the community engagement board. So again, if you can't make it in person, you want to watch, but you also want to leave a comment, you can call. I have the number and extension if anybody would like me to share it now. I'm going to do it anyway. But just know that you do have the option. And I think rather than just going through the whole schedule of when and how to leave them, I will link the schedule of when you need to leave your voicemail by, the deadline, what you can include in our meeting minutes, which will be posted on board docs. If you've ever looked up our agenda online, even if you had to search through the website for it, then you may have seen the agenda. We try to get it out at least a week ahead of time as well, but I will list all of that in there. The phone number, if you'd like to call and leave a voicemail public comment for the Community Engagement Board is 855-925-2801. And it's extension 5886. So 855-925-2801, extension 5886. Anytime. Okay. This is so exciting. I'm gonna move on unless there are any other questions from the board before we do. Okay. We're gonna move into our standing committee updates. I did not ask beforehand from every committee, but I know Jeff is out. Trey, I know you're a little bit occupied. Ashley, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you do have minutes from, or I'm sorry, not minutes, any updates from your committee meeting last month, share with us.
Yes. So we met on December 10th and we discussed how Trey, she had originally handed out the map where we would have the map highlights the parts in the city of Raleigh that fall in like the low, like not really equitable categories. And so as a committee, we made a sheet and it runs through, we're working on making a sheet that runs through June 2024 of meeting locations that we can have. And then so some of our community members, we solicited feedback from the community engagement board members and just asking about specific locations in their district that they would like to also see on the list of where we can meet at. And so next we're working on looking into if we can add info on the community engagement band. And then we've been looking about other different communication channels to reach out to the community. And so we were discussing about possibly looking into like text reminders to send out to the people in the community. And that's so far where we are.
No, you did awesome. I just want to add that a part of us, we want to work with outreach to speak to you guys because we don't want to step on anyone's toes, especially if you guys are already coming out with ways to reach out to the community. So yeah, we just wanted to get on you guys' agenda, I guess, for the next time you guys meet, or at least for us to be able to like fit in.
Coming in February, we'll make sure, I'll send you the calendar or, you know, the update if you know or you guys can come in. We'll have somebody there that's giving a presentation to us, but we'll have open time. So we'll just connect you in and come hang out.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You'll hear some of it a little bit here, but yeah, for sure, we can just sit down and map through it.
Trey and Ashley, forgive me for not listening as actively. Did you work through, have you finalized that list based on the recommendations that other people gave, or are you still just working through what would work best?
I am working on what would work best. We didn't have our fearless leader here last time, so I was waiting to speak with him about what he also feels is the best, though, because he's the one who makes our reservations for us. So I don't want to pick one that is not gonna like work for availability and things like that. So if you guys have an opinion, feel free to let me know. If not, I will be just selecting a community center for us to visit next.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashley. We'll go policy next. Sarah.
Yeah, so the policy committee, as you heard in December, we're working on a policy where we can track public comment. So on days like today, where we get wonderful public comment and feedback, we want to have some kind of system that makes us more accountable to the community members who come and share their time and feedback. So what would it look like to track those comments? but also stay accountable to the people who made those comments. So as you heard in November and December, we've been working on what that tracking system looks like. It's going to be pretty simple, as we're going to borrow that MVP term again from a few months ago, the minimum viable product. We're going to basically have an internal spreadsheet that our board is able to use to track the comments. We're creating a procedure as part of the policy committee. Once those are in our tracker, what does that accountability look like? And the brief summary for you all is we've identified that our chair and our vice chair are going to be responsible for a lot of the communication. And the policy committee is going to have kind of an umbrella look at everything to make sure things are being communicated regularly. So here's what that looks like. When someone comes and gives a public comment, we will add them to our tracker system. And when I say we, I mean the policy committee. The vice chair of the community engagement board is then responsible for contacting that person if contact information is shared with us. Just to say, thank you for providing public comment. We're gonna give you another update, but thank you. So that initial outreach. After that, during our regular meetings, we have a chance to discuss things that have been brought up to us. Also, at the policy committee meetings, we're going to review all the public comments. And so the policy committee is going to help and say to the chair, hey, we got 3 comments about bumblebees being a problem. Can we add bumblebees to the agenda for the next meeting? Or, hey, we got 3 comments about bumblebees. Can we refer this person to the Bumblebee Commission? So the vice chair is going to be the one who's providing the updates to the person who commented. The chair is then either adding things to our agenda so that we can discuss, make a recommendation, maybe propose something to council. Or if we're proposing that this person gets referred, if we say, hey, we really think they should connect to the Bumblebee Commission, the chair is going to do that with staff support. So the chair will reach out and say, hey, we want to refer somebody to you. This is what they shared with us in public comment. You're the head of the Bumblebee Commission. Who do you recommend this person talks to? So the chair will establish that conversation. So you received before this meeting templates that the policy committee is making. And it's not because we want this to be too formulaic. We want this to be a people-centered process. So when you come here and you share a public comment, you feel like somebody is listening to you. We don't want it to be too robotic, but we want to make sure that our vice chair and our chair are able to respond to these comments efficiently. So we created some templates where there's an email that they can send that just says thank you. There's an email that they can send that says, hey, the community engagement board feels like they can help with this. We're going to assign it to this committee. There's a template that says, hey, there's somebody in Raleigh who can help with this. We want to put you in touch with this department or this commission or this city council member. And then there are templates for when we want to share an update. And then finally, when we want to consider the item closed and ask if the person has any feedback. So what you received before tonight was the written out process that shared all these steps and then those templates. And so we'd love to have your feedback on that. And then the policy committee will update the procedure and those templates for your feedback. Our hope is that, we kind of have this MVP built. So I'm going to take the public comments we received tonight and put them in there. Our hope is that we can get this finalized so that we can begin using it. Once we begin using it, your policy committee, every time we meet, is going to look at that tracker, make sure that people have heard from our vice chair, make sure our chair has what she needs to contact those referrals or get things on our agenda, and we'll get this thing in motion. Any questions about the templates or the procedure draft that you received? We take questions from the community. We cannot take questions from community members.
There's a lot of information. I just want to clarify the templates that you guys sent us. I guess I'm asking for myself. Are there any that you guys strongly recommend that we use, or you guys' favorites? I guess
we're really happy with them. So you'll see when you look through the templates, there's one for each scenario. So no one would receive all of them. It's basically like you would get something like the first email as a thank you. And then the other ones, like you would get this one if the community engagement board is taking you on. You would get this one if we referred you somewhere else. So it's not like somebody would get all of them. So we recommend that all of them get put into place and that you know, if you look at the procedure, we're trying to make it clear when the vice chair does something and when the chair does something and when the policy committee does something, so that all the touch points of this tracker are accountable and people are going to be hearing from us. And then the policy committee is kind of that umbrella view or that 30,000 foot view that's making sure everybody's in contact.
So I think the vehicle of how it's distributed, who it's communicated by is probably the best structure to get within that, just because need is steady. Component to that, vice chair will be, you know, over here, so he doesn't get to vote. So no show you go. Yeah.
So, you know, this process is being developed, and what information about our process is getting out to other departments? Because I would hate for us to refer someone to another department, and they're like, what is this? Who are you? Why am I doing this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's only one template that's for the referral. So if you look at that template, and I'm gonna cheat, Dr. Lang, did you send me? Okay, this is why I sit next to that. If you scroll up, it's the email for the chair to refer, so number 6. Yes, okay, email number 6. So this is the email. And for those who don't have a copy, I'm gonna just read it briefly. This is an email for the chair to refer public comment. The subject is request for response to public comment from your community engagement board. We have a note here that if possible, we would CC the community member's district representative. The template says, dear name. I hope this message finds you well. As the chair of the community engagement board in Raleigh, I'm writing to bring your space, department, committee, your official, your attention to a public comment that we received during our date meeting. We believe that your department, committee, expertise and involvement are crucial in addressing this concern that was raised by our community member. Insert brief summary of public comment, including key points. Can you please let us know who we should contact within your staff? We will be happy to put your staff member in contact with the community member who made this request. Thank you sincerely for your commitment to service and community engagement. Signed, the chair.
Follow up though, I'm just wondering, is communication or can communication to departments go out, giving them a heads up about this to increase buy-in?
Interesting.
Is that the before or the after? 'Cause I think that ties into hers.
Like this would go out. Okay, I'm gonna keep using this bumblebee example because it's very neutral. Somebody comes in and they're like, bumblebees are a problem. And we're like, okay, so we add them to the public comment tracker. During the policy meeting, we look at that and we say, this one likely needs to be referred. Did you know there's a new commission about bumblebees? So then our chair would send this email. I think Amber's question is, what if we, as the community engagement board, sent information to departments and commissions in Raleigh just to say, hey, just so you know, we're going to start tracking public comment. And if we get a comment that pertains to your mission, you're going to hear from us and we're going to put you in touch with that community member. So look out for our emails. I think that's what Amber's saying.
You keep saying boards and commissions, and we're also talking about city departments and city council members. So whatever we would send out before needs to go to all of that. And I'm sure staff will have some decision or some way to help us determine how that needs to go out. So it is properly distributed.
I'm thinking there's so many people who work for the city and who might be receiving one of these, and if it's confusing to receive one because they've never heard of it before, I just feel like our odds of success are going to decrease.
I think that's a great point. I would say our committee can look into the possibility of that at our next meeting, if y'all would like. The idea of like, hey, we're doing this message to folks, okay?
And I think, we want to have a coordinated effort with the department heads. And which means we also needed support from the staff that supports us and council. So when we implement this, it should be altogether understood by council and staff that this is coming from us and we need their support. So we can't tell them what to do, but the people that can influence them, and we say, yeah, we support this view and be aware that this is going to come. So I think that's kind of what you're getting at. Yeah, I understand.
I have a question, sorry, Janya. I've heard public comment today. Are you going to put in your spreadsheet like a ranking system? Or does every public comment deserve an email, like an action? Or will there be some comments where someone is saying, hey, you're doing a great job? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you gonna like give a status for them? Or action?
If someone provides us with their contact information, well, let me back up. Any public comment that we get that has content that we put into this tracker, we're gonna put in. If they have contact information, they're gonna hear from us, even if it's just, thank you so much for coming. And so everybody who shares contact information will get that. To your question, great question. The challenge of prioritization, or my sister who works in the ER, she calls it triage, right? Like somebody comes in, where do you send them? That's the challenging part. It's like somebody comes in with the bumblebee question. Is it something the community engagement board can take on? Is it something that we recommend they talk to their city council member about? Is it something we can refer a specific commission? Is it something that we just say, thank you for making us aware? And that's where the policy committee is going to try to take the easy ones. If you come in and say you have a problem with garbage and sanitation, and we feel like, okay, you know who to connect you to, we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna provide that update so that y'all know we did that. That way, if it wasn't a softball and you think we should have done something else, you can tell us. If it's not easy and we're like, what do we do on this one? We're gonna ask our chair to put it on the agenda. Can we have a brief, like during our policy committee update, can we have a brief, we're gonna remind you what the public comment was and say, do y'all feel like we should refer this? Or should we assign it to one of our committees? Is it something we can pick up? So that's where our hope, this isn't easy. It's not like when comments come in, we're gonna know where to send them. But we're hoping to make it easy. And my secret goal, this isn't the policy committee, this is Sarah. I want this to be so easy and so effective that other organizations who might hear public comment are like, wow, that seems like a great way to reward and acknowledge people who give public comment and to help be accountable to what they say. So if we can make it easy by taking care of the ones that can be easily referred or acknowledged, and then bringing the other ones up to this whole board when we have our policy committee update, then I think that we can make it easier in order to address all this. Does that make sense?
It does. So to piggyback on that, it sounds like there needs to be a lot more homework done behind the scenes before the template's right. Because it sounds like, just to piggyback on what you said, if you send the announcement out to the different departments and committees, you can ask them, what type of questions or what type of things do you handle? So then you can have kind of like a map of, okay, for this department, they handle these 10 items. So when you get the public comment, then you can match it up with that department and say, okay, well, it should go to this department. Do you know what I mean? Because I think if you bring it up in these meetings, it will probably shut out into meetings.
And
That's
part of
right.
part of the thing we're spoiled with is having really attentive staff support. So we do lean on a lot of the times, to Nadia, and Ellen to help direct us. We generally try not to go into things blindly, especially if we're contacting anybody on behalf of the board, because we are a board that sits under that office as well. But that's a good thing, just a general, if it's let me age myself, a Rolodex of people in different departments with specifications that may come up in general that we have that do systemize it for us. That's a great idea to think about too.
That we can have.
Yes, that was gonna be my question.
Sorry, I'm gonna go with Leon.
Question, and I may have missed it, but when you say that you're gonna refer the staff person with the person who made the request, are we getting that feedback as to the resolution?
Yes, great
Okay.
question. So that email 6 that would go out. So our chair would send that to the top person at the Bumblebee Commission, right? But they're not CCing the community member yet. The chair is saying to this person, hey, we have a public comment and we want to share it with you. Who's the best person? Here's what the comment is. Once that person replies, they're likely going to recommend a staff member. Then we're going to introduce those two folks, the community member and the staff member, and we're going to stay involved.
Okay.
And it's part of, that's that umbrella. You can imagine how this would get lost, right? Like who's checking to make sure that that's getting done? The policy committee. We've got this tracker. We're quickly going through it and saying, okay, this one was referred to the Bumblebee Commission. Last time we heard from them was, okay, this date, we need to follow up and see if that was resolved.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, there is also a spreadsheet that tracks all of this. I don't know if that was clear before. So like there are different checking points and pieces of information that help track all of that as well.
So the question on the spreadsheet part and kind of a little bit of touching on Amber's knowledge base thing. In the events that we have, so we'll be collecting these, we'll start getting we'll start learning who this goes to. Will we have almost a library, a base of responses for redundancy and questions if, you know, in the course of 2 or even 1 meeting, 4 people come in, ask the same thing, or the next meeting, 4 people come in and bring up that address this, maybe 2 topics there last time, to kind of resolve that to slow that process down, or at least expedite it and say, here's, yes, this has been addressed in the past. Here's the course of action, send it over and they go from there versus constantly reaching back, like rerunning the cycle. Like, we know how this works now. Here's what you have to do, or here's what we can do for you or you. Is that something that you guys are looking to collect or at least have? And so if it's a fairly similar thing, we have a quick way to kind of move through it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So 2 really good ideas. One, this idea of like a directory, and then 2, this idea of a repository of responses.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a balance between this idea of MVP and all that this system can do.
Yeah.
Your policy committee is very committed to making this something that is effective. And so if we feel like it won't be ready until it can also house a repository and it also has this knowledge base or directory, then we can talk about that. There's an option for an MVP where the directory of information is Nadia and Dale for a while, where we go to them and say, here's what we have, who do you think responds to this? And then maybe, you know, next year we build that out as more of a directory. And then maybe we don't have a repository right away, but we can see that being something next year. We say, let's take inventory of all the comments we received. What are some ones that we had in common? We want to add that to our template list. So there's balance between MVP and some of the features that we might talk about.
I think Amber's going to. I'm sure you heard. Okay, let's see. So I wanted to say that in that discussion we just had, if we come up with a repository of things that have worked, we may need to reevaluate templates, because if we have already sent something to the staff, to the director or division head or department head, and ask them, it maybe we need to create a template that says, we have asked you about this before, and it would be a knowledge or an acknowledgement of, we're not going through you, but this is the same kind of thing we've had before. But one of the questions that I asked, or that we discussed during the policy committee meeting, was the fact that we don't have any right or to be able to tell somebody in the city, this is something that they have to do. So we felt like we need to be sure we go through the proper channels so that someone who directs a staff person can say, this is something for you. So we would want to acknowledge that this has come to us, but we don't really need to ask you necessarily who to direct it to, because we dealt with this in the past, but we want to notify you that this is what's coming. So that may be another template and letter that we need to come up with. And a caveat to my earlier question to the councilperson Jones is that I want the citizens to understand that these are policies that we're having to create that have not been done before. And so none of our process is a quick and fast one. Most folks in the city who have been put on a board or commission have been put on something that was already in place. They are just working within what's already there. So this is not a fast answer board. We are creating something from scratch. And I think people need to have that understanding and concept, because sometimes it looks like we're not moving fast, but actually we are getting a lot of things accomplished so that people who come behind this first board will be able to move a little faster.
Point well taken. I'll add that to the thoughts about how that outreach commentary might be like in some stuff. So I got that one for it. Yes.
And all I wanted to do was offer a tip and recommendation to the policy committee that I just typed in, I'm a citizen and I have a problem with litter on my street. Here's my district. Who do I contact? It gave me detailed instructions on ChatGPT on exactly who to contact, gave me their email, their phone number, and all of the steps. So
we might consider that as a helpful tool too.
That's what you want. That's.
Give me a heart and I'll test it out.
Yeah.
I think, I do want to share that ChatGPT, as much as I love it, a lot of times it's 2 years behind some of the information it has, so that would need to be a cautionary.
I have the pro version, that's why.
Well, you know, I'm not paying for it.
I was gonna say, I got that feeling with that too, it's all.
Right,
Yeah.
yes, and I did check it to make sure it was telling me the truth, and it seems to be, so.
If you want to switch to the policy committee, we can use your chat.
man.
There's applications for this.
Yeah, I got another login using that. I got you. But I will have to get to you.
Well,
Okay.
thank you for letting us share this update. We're gonna keep working on this. As I said, it can be a little slow, but y'all, we do have, and I know this isn't show and tell, but we do have this tracker that we're gonna continue updating so that as this process gets approved and we go forward with it, it's not like we don't have any information in there. So we are putting things in there. The tracker is internal. We are not designing it to be like something that's on the city's website where people can go. It's not like a Domino's pizza tracker where you can see where your pizza is, you know? It's still a part of like, if somebody requested it, it's, you know, an open government document, but it's not meant to be that. It's meant to be for us to make sure that we're following up with people and tracking. So I'll make sure we share a link to that. We'll work on this in our next meeting and then we'll bring you an update. Just a reminder for anyone who's in, I think we also might need to update the sign-in sheets because did it have contact information on that sheet?
No.
Yeah, so that's.
I'll give it up.
I wasn't out, it's like everyone signed in, but I didn't even notice. It doesn't have contact information. So if you would like to update yours and add your contact information on the side of it in that parking spot, then I will make sure that gets in the tracker. And I'm so sorry about that. We'll get that. That's an oversight on my part. We'll get that updated for the next one. I really like that pen, so please, thanks, y'all.
I'm gonna bring, just for the sake of potential progress for the policy committee and this process, I do agree that nothing moves as quickly as we want it to, and we are being very intentional, even during the committee meetings, about moving through each of these pieces thoughtfully. We've been in this sort of cycle of working on this tracker for at least 3 to 4 weeks now, without any approved process on it from the board. I would like to explore, entertain, see how you feel, test the water on. Okay.
So I would move that the policy committee report be accepted and that template, at least template 1A be used, starting with today's meeting, which is the thank you email, just so that we can start to thank people who have come and spoken, so we can at least begin this process as of today.
The motion is to accept the report and to move forward with 1A.
With one
A general thank you for coming and giving a comment with no recommendation else.
Yes.
That does require a second by Anthony. Any discussion?
No, you guys are comfortable with it and you're good to go. I'm fine.
I'm gonna counter myself and ask for any opinion on whether or not the actual process and procedure needs to be approved before we approve that template.
What's the motion on?
It was to accept the report and the report
To include, but to include also the
and the adoption of the process with you, and start with template A.
So just 1A, so exactly the process, but only 1A at this time for the simple thank you catch. That's it. Everything else is still needs to be ironed out and done. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Point of discussion, the subject is thank you for your public comment, and the form says, dear Nate, thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts during the recent public comment period at our community engagement board meeting. Our board greatly appreciates your engagement and understands the importance of your input and its impact on our community. Once again, thank you for your participation. Best regards, Chair, Community Engagement Board with our mission. Who seconded it? As a point of discussion.
Well, again, to move it along, because we've had some people that made comments. So thank you for your public comment, and then update within 60 days. But thank you for taking the time and that type of thing. So do we want to share and let them know that their comment is being heard and moved on? Do we want to wait another 30 days? You know what I'm saying?
So if we
That we look
also,
at two.
if we also approve template 1B, the chair would have the option to use that template, which says we are reviewing your comment and we'll provide you an update in 50 days. If we don't approve that one, then it's just the thank you message.
Yeah.
How do you feel about being within a window of 60 days from today?
I'm not comfortable with it because we don't
I'm
have
not either.
the back end of what that would entail yet.
I'm not either. Yeah, I think just 1A. I don't think 1B is ready yet. Yep.
So the motion's on the floor, the second in discussion, call for a vote, all of those in favor of the motion, which is on the table to accept the policy committee report, which includes template and procedure, as well as move forward with using template 1A, which is a general thank you for leaving a public comment, which you can review if you have it with you. That is the motion. All of those in favor? Audibly, aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, it's unanimous vote, and it passes. Progress made. Thank you so much, and thank you for the diligence in not just your report, but in seeing this from our crazy idea section to now having some movement. The team's great. Okay, there are some things on the agenda that, as usual, are going to be moved around. So we have gone through all of our committee updates. Again, thank you to all of our. Oh,
Mine's long, which is gonna be, that's why I was a little concerned about time.
so before you start, I
Yeah.
will say we're going to, and we'll discuss this later, Tom.
Yeah.
We're gonna move past our new business, which will be the video.
Yeah.
We are going to move past our board member roundtable updates. I have a note card. If you have an update, this is much better for me as well. Please write it down instead of saying it audibly because I will lose that information or we're not able to track it. That's fine.
So I just have a parliamentary share for you
For agenda.
for agenda movement.
Yeah.
If you say without objection, we will move such and such and such, then we can do it without objection. You don't necessarily have to take an official vote, and you can just do that as chair.
Perfect. Carmen likes to move. What Carmen said. Yes, to move forward, without, if I can move forward without objection. Essentially.
You just need to tell us what you want to change from that, and you can do that.
Yes, okay. I said before, the video would be the first thing, and then roundtable updates to do. If you leave it on a card instead of us reading them out, and that will be in a follow-up email again. So one, I don't miss any information, and two, if we don't have time, then we can skip over that and allow time for more discussion on old business issues. We have a lot to discuss as well. Anything else then? Do I need to? Without objection, to move forward with those amendments?
Is there any objections?
No.
We need to find out.
Perfect. With outreach coming.
Good, okay. We had a very busy January meeting, so I'm going to try to move quickly through this. Also, an apology in advance, you all did not receive a printout of this. That's kind of, that was between Stacy and I, a little bit of a miscommunication on Monday, so after this meeting, I will download it into a PDF and just hit everybody on email, or Stacy, I can send it to you and you can disperse it on that blind copy to everybody, and that's fine. So you'll get these two different breakdowns on it. So we're gonna cover two factors. One is, now that we have this community outreach video, which I don't know if there's a way, Dale, if you can look into it, there's a way you could share that link broadly with the board so everybody can watch it. If there's not, if it's internally locked, understood, but there's some way people can watch it at their leisure, that would be great.
Yeah.
But in the meeting, we did discuss that since we are the ones that implemented this, we now need to kind of drive comms and explain to them what it is we want done versus just kind of waiting for it to turn on. So we worked on a proposal of how we would do this, kind of breaking it down in 3 different categories. All right, so we will propose a general announcement across social media channels and via email distribution list owned and operated by the city of Raleigh. The committee will provide a copy for review by the core City of Raleigh Communications Department and defer to their scheduling plans based on other obligations. We also request that signage be made available at all community centers and other message boards across City of Raleigh property where deemed appropriate. Content would be consistent, which was dispersed digitally, so there's no reinventing the wheel on that. The general cadence of what we're looking for outreach. Digital reference to the video would be added to any autoresponder already sent to those that register for public speaking. If that doesn't happen, fine, then we need to understand afterwards on a thank you page, is there someplace where that can be placed for it and in search for it? Do that. We also request that this link be available on the page itself. So on every public comment page, the Community Engagement Board has provided you now a video on how to do public comment. Please watch this video, and so that it's clear and very there in case they don't get email or goes to spam. Call-in requests. In an effort to continue education around public comment, we ask that a reference to the video and its location be made on the recording for those who want to utilize it before leaving their message or public comment, or at the very least, in the future, they'll know that that exists. I do not want to make it a barrier for them not to make their public comment, but at least they know next time they call in that they can have, that it existed, so they had an opportunity to watch if they so choose. And that way that it's distributed properly. And we'll of course be very happy about this one because I'm going to talk about offline, which is his favorite and mine too. So offline, a brochure pointing to a link to the video be made available at all community centers, libraries, and or any other locations to provide computer access to the community members needing these services. So any place you go where there's public access to the computer, we would want that available to them, or at least some place that says you can get this or you can pick this up. I appreciate that. Thank you. And this will help us ensure we're touching as many as possible. We know it's impossible. We don't have the budget, unfortunately, to send out postcards in this capacity like this. And so we need to kind of be pretty careful. So those are the three things that we are proposing as an outreach committee to make sure we're covering all the bases. We would like to see this happen in the next 30, 60 days upon delivery of the final content, knowing that the video is complete. We do also understand that they may make a couple revisions. This did occur at the recording as well, but they were baseline revisions, one being you no longer had to provide your address, and something else, nothing that the board would have had input on anyway. So if they want to make a little tweak because my language isn't correct and it needs to say it this way, that's fine. You guys take it. We're cool with it. Send it and be done. I will provide that as a download for everybody to review, but ideally we would submit this to comms top of next week. So I'll at least let people for a couple of days. If they want to give us feedback, give me any feedback. I'll say by Monday, I'm going to send it over to Dale and the comms person I had when we were setting up the video shoot, or just to you, Nadia, and you can carry it on from there. It's entirely up to you. But get that in motion so that we have an update for you guys at the next meeting on where we are with it. Yes.
I have two questions, really quick.
Go.
Is comms the communication department?
Yes.
Okay, and when you talked about the brochure printing, did you include water bills in that City of Raleigh water bills?
No, I did not. Okay, did not. Should I include
It goes to every person who has a City of Raleigh water bill.
Did not know that. Okay.
Somehow putting that information.
And to 5 other municipalities.
Okay.
The work.
See, maybe they get a little good news along with their water bill. They can be like, didn't want to cut this check, but look at this cool thing I get with it. That's gonna work out. Okay. Okay, so again, I will provide that digitally so you guys can review it. And we're gonna move this along and hopefully we have this out the door and running soon. I know there's been some challenges recently. We did make the adjustment to request that an addendum be made in the video, either in the video as a line item or as a text change in the email that goes out that says that city council has discretion on reducing time limits. It's in code. We can't really do much about that, but we want to make sure that people are aware that that's involved. And they can decide to do that, add that or not, but we wanted to make sure after the last meeting that we had that included, because we don't want to go back and reshoot the entire video to add that caveat if it doesn't really happen all that. But so we are trying to cover that as well. Any questions? Cool. Here comes the fun one. So the listening sessions proposals. So when we started out in our retreat back in August, one of our work plan items, besides the video, which is now kind of clear, was to start working on the listening sessions components. Now, I know as a larger board, we've talked about some of that. So what we took big chunk of our meeting at, and Stacy was attended as well, is to talk about maybe how we can start moving this listening project forward. And getting it in gear and moving it to it. You know, we're not gonna be able to turn it on tomorrow, but we wanted to have a little bit of action and some ideas and then share it with the wider board to make sure we're all talking kind of the same language. So we've outlined 3 components to rolling out this program. I'll just go through them briefly. Quarterly meetings, okay? The intention here is to provide a quarterly listening session across all districts. That means every single board member would be involved in some capacity or another, so that every district location has a listening session. So we have one here, we've got one at the other spots. There could be some geography to this that makes more sense in terms of which community centers are, because I know there are many, and so we have to find a good balance. But ideally, members of the Community Engagement Board would initially head these up and then fine tune the process from there. Announcements would be posted at least 2 weeks in advance at each community center. Considerations for other postings at locations like libraries, community boards, et cetera, would need to be pulled together by the board, and then we would understand how to distribute those. Your battery is running low. So just keep in mind that the idea here and the intent here is that this is a wider board thing. Our outreach committee could not do this independently. There's just not enough of us. But it would allow everybody to have an opportunity to attend and put it inside of different places where we keep it balanced. The idea of doing it quarterly is that gives us enough time to collect everything and then be able to provide feedback, and monthlies and so on. We did talk about another option, which is, yes.
Just quickly, is the quarterly, so would we have 5, 1 in each district, or every quarter we would have that around?
No, we have 5, and it's 1 in each district, and we would just spread it out amongst, we've got enough coverage between all of us. We might be able to get a little help on the staff side too, potentially, or some of the community engagement people as well to help us, but it would be that, a 2-hour session, and at a time that is convenient for everyone.
So we have it once a quarter, but in 5 different spots, and then we're dividing it.
And not at noon, right? So yes, not at noon. So that was a struggle. So partnerships and spinoffs for this. This would be mainly targeted at city events and organizations, as we are city mandated board. We can look to include others as we work through these, but the immediate rollout partner wise, we would stick with what we can do inside of some of the other community engagement or other engagement boards throughout the system. Then down the road, looking at things like nonprofits and other organizations would be approached as the program develops, and we can discuss how we can implement them in. It is my experience that you want to do partnerships, and it's a great idea, but until you figure out how to make vanilla, you can't make cookie dough, right? So you need to kind of figure out the one first, and then you can do the others. And then maybe you can bring the bees along with it too. So you have that. And then the community engagement van, right? So we know this thing exists. It was rolled out. We have a pretty solid idea of how we can utilize it. Nadia has expressed that there's more and more signups going on and being used for different engagements. So this vehicle is at our disposal. Intent here would be to create collateral regarding the CEB and a list of upcoming monthly and quarterly meetings as those are rolled out. So monthly being these, quarterly being the ones that we would then hold as listening sessions. We would have to understand the rules of engagement with if somebody's using the van from the city for a specific purpose, if they would be okay with us having a little pop-up there that just says this is it. I'm not asking that we man it, but I'm asking we have some additional signage at these. So even if they've come for one issue, they see that there's a board that's engaging that will listen to other things as well. So that was that. The engagement, rules of engagement need to be implemented before we start these sessions. So we'll have to kind of work through how those are, and then once they're established, they're uniform across all. So each one has the same things, all the processes that need to be in place, decorum, all the things that need to be just put together so that we're getting it cleanly, but that each spot, nobody gets advantage or disadvantage because it's a different location. It's all uniform, it's all the same. Data collection. So we learned about.
Can I interrupt you really quickly just to take a second to digest all of that?
Yeah.
And see if there are questions on that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Procedural.
I feel terrible because I know we're tight on time and you try and, go ahead.
There's one thing, it sounds, pretty challenging. Yeah. And if we're just gonna use the board members, but I want us to, probably include opportunities to take advantage of situations for listening sessions. Plus, I think we want to, be sure that the residents, because we talk about prioritizing with staff and everything. We want to show that we want something between us and the residents. Right. To be able, so when we try to prioritize with staff, which a lot of those meetings we're at anyway, right, we can maybe get on those agendas and have 10, 15 minutes listening session. Right. If we want to, or listen to what they're doing, but get the feedback for us. Be specific.
You know, obviously, you can do things like so the beginning, the paint coming about time and being engaged 4 times a year while we get them right. And then broaden that horizon of engaging in other components is kind of where we would go, right? We get this part right, and then we can lock all the other.
On. What we initially said with community conversations was that we would partner with this community and on their B meeting, and we would come as well and say, we're the community engagement board. This is what we do. We want to know what's going on in your community. We're here to learn from you. If that's already what's happening in process with that meeting, it seemed a little redundant to come back and say, let us partner with you on this for people to tell us what they're concerned about, because they're already coming to this meeting for this express purpose. It's not like a general, what are your concerns? It's this purpose. So for us to come in and say, well, let's be part of this meeting didn't seem like it made a lot of sense as an active part of it, as in taking up part of the time to say or collect information because they're there for one specific meeting. But come to your point in some way, if that meeting is happening And the community engagement van has a possibility to be there to say, hey, by the way, we're here and we can connect you with the bee commission from the city, or we have information, or if you have additional things that you want to talk about that didn't come up in this meeting, or whatever, like there's still, that was kind of the, as I understood it, the point of having 3 different facets of the community conversations, one that is led by us so that we can say, bring anything and everything to this meeting. Let us know what you're concerned about. The second is to say, this is a good partner, whether it's a neighborhood or a profit organization or whatever the case may be, where we can add to that conversation if they would like us to be there, or we can create some conversation around an issue that they have, or just another way to make it partner so we're not taking over, but we're not useless. And then have the van be a supplement to anything else.
That's
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Have you gone through 3 things yet?
Yep.
Okay, I'll figure out which one it is.
You're gonna get an email. You get an email that has them all laid out after this. The plan was to have more time to watch them all.
Did that make sense in that they were
It
different?
did, I
Okay.
just,
Yes.
I've
The three
I've
were-
only divided
were
into
quarterly.
2
Yeah,
too.
quarterly meetings is 1, partnerships is 2, 3 is community van engagement, and I hold
Okay.
my fingers. I'm in marketing and I don't do math. Marketing doesn't do math, it just does.
It's getting dark.
I didn't mean to derail, but, yeah, Sarah.
Just a quick historic note, the work plan subcommittee, as you remember, we, as a very new board, had to form a subcommittee for our first work plan. And during that work plan development, the community listening sessions were designed as an opportunity for us to collect more feedback. And because we're such a new board, the work plan subcommittee proposed that those rely heavily on partnerships, that we basically go to places that already existed. But what Stacy and Tom are highlighting here is the idea that the van can go to some of those places and help to amplify other things, since that convening is already happening. And we can create other convening for folks who might not be going to some, so somebody who would go to the bee thing, is already involved, but they care about the bee thing, so they're there. The van can meet them there. So the historic note I want to make is, when the work plan subcommittee said that the community listening sessions should focus on these partnerships, the van didn't exist. So now that the van is an option, the van can be there, and the convening of these community listening sessions don't have to rely on those partnerships because the van can be there. So we can create this more general opportunity. Folks might not have a bee thing that they want to go to, but they might have concerns that we need to hear. And so this is a more general.
There's one comment I want us to keep in mind, because we're the new committee, is that for me, this year is a year of developing relationships. Bringing, because COVID and some of the things that happen in government have destroyed relationships. But the thing is this, when we go out, is to restore the trust and transparency between government and the citizens. So those activities that, even though government may be sponsoring them, you still have the same situation where we can get involved, or at least hear what they want to say, and make sure that's really being addressed and not come, I can't assume that it's being handled because somebody's having that meeting, you know.
But we would do that with our own meetings. We would do that with the own meetings, our own meetings that we address and set up and say, you can come. This isn't the government, this is the community engagement board's quarterly listening session meeting. I mean, we have a fiduciary responsibility as a board to listen to the community a couple hours a night, a couple hours, you know, one night every quarter. We can probably manage across a few districts and whatever else. That would be that outlet. That would just be guaranteed. And not even 2 hours. If people want to stay longer, keep talking, I'll hang out. That's fine. I'll listen. To wrap it up, just very quickly, the data collection component of this is the important element. We will be meeting in February with Be Heard Durham, who just released in the beginning of this year. Is that right, Nancy? Last year. Be Heard Durham is doing a lot of what we are trying to do here, is just kind of move the ball forward a little farther. One of the things we looked at through their site and through what they do is they use a platform called Cortico, which collects all the information and all the data from people at the various meetings and provides them in a very consolidated way of, this is what this was discussed here. These are the top items for this. This might help you, by the way, Sarah, with your other stuff. There'll be links inside the PDF. You can click on them. You can go see them after this meeting to look more into it. I'm having a call with Cortico to find out what that looks like. We discussed budget allocation that we currently have, that might be able to cover that. And if not, they're talking about budgets in March, and that might be something that we could slide in and make a proposal for. But this would also take away all the legwork of us having to compile all this manually and give people a very transparent response as well. BHERDS is very clear. It's wide open. It's out there. And so we would have to find out where we play in that aspect, but BHERD will be coming to our meeting, either virtually or in person in February. So we're gonna get a chance to talk with them and understand what they went through, how long it took. And I'm gonna find out how much Cortico would cost as a platform and whether or not our budget could cover that to utilize that tool. That tool can be used both online. It can also be used offline at meetings. So we would have laptops, a laptop or two where somebody can enter in that information, or somebody could be collecting it, like not you, but as in your role at a meeting, can collect that in and plug it into that as well. And it would generate that kind of information. So again, because our neighbors are doing it, it feels a little more accessible than if we were talking about Atlantic doing it. But that's it. So, sorry, I know that ran a little long, but we had a lot done. February, we'll get a lot more done. So next meeting, we'll have a bunch to cover.
One of the things that I'm gonna add on to is that this Cortico is capturing information for those who are underserved and underrepresented in the community. So that's the main target that we need here in Raleigh as well.
Yeah, it's a good tool to allow everybody to have a voice in some capacity. So we'll work on that with the city and go from there. So there you go.
Thank you.
I will circulate everything, or she will circulate everything. Yes.
We'll get it, sir.
All right. So question, Ray.
Yes.
Can that help the Cortico thing help with the tracking?
Yes, ideally, yes, because you would just basically create it as its own subgroup.
Because somebody is in their first meeting and they didn't really want to ask the question, and y'all know I'll ask anything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I keep looking at you immediately. I look across. I'm just staring at you.
No, yes, it is.
Okay, sorry to have skipped over you.
No.
That is all three of our.
Sorry, I spoke as fast as I did.
No, it's good. I know it feels like we're in here forever, but not forever enough because we always have more things to cover. I'm gonna move into old business real quick. Chair updates are very simple. Basically, I wanted to be able to share things that we've talked about months past, but maybe we have forgotten about. One was just last month, creating the community engagement board email. We're meeting tomorrow. And we'll talk about that. So we are creating an internal Gmail that will live with the community engagement board, but will also house documents so that we can have a place to store everything. And if we want to create some sort of, I don't know, independent outreach that we need to, that has to be separate from the city, then we have that as a resource. But just starting it and what needs to be there, we're going to work on tomorrow. So that is in progress. The van schedule, we talked about this a couple of months in a row. Dale is kind of responsible for what that looks like and how the community engagement van is being shared.
It's actually Lance, but we kind of. I'm very privy to.
Dale is helping manage how that goes. But as I understand it, there's a schedule that still isn't quite something that can just be shared publicly or updated all the time. So we are having to work through them to kind of get a schedule of events. But it is in progress, just like everything else. So I think what would be best is just giving that like monthly update of what's available and who wants to attend what, or who can help with the van, just because we don't have any other way to do it right now. But something better is still in progress. And then our favorite topic, business cards and information collateral on the community engagement board. Same thing. So we have to put in a request, or had to put in a request to communication department for them to help formulate what that looks like, and then to get them ordered. We cannot do that on our own. Yes.
Can we ask that that they hire some additional staff for communication? Can we ask that to go in the city's budget? Because communications holds up everything for the entire city.
I will make that recommendation to Dale and Taisha to make that ask.
I'll send it to my city.
It will be noted in our minutes. Fingers crossed that we have some of that. I just think it would be a great, again, push forward public information out there about what we do, who we are, we're around and we exist, but we haven't forgotten about it. It's just a process that we have to go through. So those are basically the updates. Again, I just wanted to run back through things that we've talked about before. under new business, I'm sorry, old business as well was community conversations. I think that will take a little bit more time since outreach is sort of taking that under their wing. After the February meeting where they do need to be heard and we find out more about Portico, we can have a more holistic discussion about not just the software or the process, but also the scheduling. So those three components, whether it's our general, we hold general meetings plus partnerships, plus having the band. I think once we have a report back from them on the components, we can talk a little bit deeper about that. It just keeps kind of rolling, but at least we're making progress as it rolls, I hope. Anthony, I'm glad you're here, because you brought this up last meeting, so it's your responsibility. But the last part was talking about meeting times and frequency. Do you want to revisit that while we have time here?
Absolutely, you guys on it?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, given that we are continually adding to our plate and, just heard here, 20 new meetings, one meeting a quarter per district. I'm wondering if it makes sense for us to meet on a monthly basis as well as have a committee meeting on a monthly basis, or if we should meet with a different frequency. And I wanted to bring that up at the last meeting because I felt like we don't have a lot of time between our meetings to do the work that needs to be done. So we're seeing folks not come to some of the committee meetings. I missed the last one. Melly's going to say anything, but
It's minor inconvenience, yeah.
But I plan to be out of town anyway, so it's just sit at home in a dark room instead of doing what I wanted to do. So that being what that is our meeting frequency the right frequency? And are we meeting at a time that really works the best for folks to come and, attend our meetings and provide comment? Because this has been the highest attended meeting we've had. I pushed out to my email list and said, hey, we're in District D, everybody could please come. But I think that it's something that is worth discussing.
And I think in relation to that, if we look at our bylaws and what that says, and we need to relate all it together, it says, I think if this draft is not to meet no less than month. So, and to work at our retreats. So when we have a retreat, then that's when we make changes on that. So I think we need to make sure we align with our bylaws when we making these decisions.
Yeah.
Are there any times that bylaws can be updated during retreat?
We can update them whenever we want, vote.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry, Carmen.
Just, we need.
We'd have to vote.
Yeah. I just had a quick comment. I appreciate the discussion point because I think we should talk about it. A lot of our meetings always run late. And this time, 3 months ago, I would have said, I think we need to meet more than monthly because we keep pushing. But now our committee has struggled to meet in between. And I think to your point, I don't want us to meet if the committees haven't met and done some work to push things forward. So that makes me hesitate on meeting more than once a month so that the committees can make sure to meet and have progress in between. It's just.
I feel, this is sort of where I was coming at this from at the last meeting. I feel like the committee progress is more important sometimes because there's a lot of work. It's a small committee that's moving quickly versus this larger group where it is a little bit more cumbersome, but it does take time and we do run over. So I think maybe decreasing the frequency of one and looking at the frequency or increasing the frequency of the other, still meets our meeting obligation, especially if we're adding quarterly meetings, especially if we're trying to get folks out to different things. I mean, there's only so much time any of us have. And, just try to be thoughtful about that. It's not a decision that I think has to be made immediately, but I think it's something that we should consider and work towards.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I don't think that's something we can solve in our meeting. I mean, I think that's something that maybe we need a subcommittee of the policy committee to look at.
Well, I don't know if that has to go in policy, Carmen.
Well, I don't think it's an outreach issue, and I don't think it's a equity issue. So
Well, I was gonna say too, I'm not gonna pick on outreach, but if any committee chooses to meet more than once, they can. If the work is primarily in the committees, you can meet twice a month and just give a quick update and we can vote on what's necessary here. If that makes the work easier to do in committee, and then bring the product for revision or approval to the board, you can do that as well. And that doesn't require us to vote on that. That's up to your committee.
So I think realistically, you know, we talked about quarterly meetings tonight, but in my view, and the time it's gonna take this is, those likely don't start rolling until the second half of the year, right? So when you start looking at that for the second half of the year, we go to a retreat, that might be the time to revisit it. I mean, we can't speak for everyone, right? I was able to get through our committee stuff, just because I found chunks of time to get into it and film it out. I still was a little behind it than I wanted to be. But given that it's in the bylaws, if we do get these quarterly meetings on the books and stuff like that, I do think it's something that we would want to address at the next, because then we're able to then properly address the bylaws and provide whatever we need to do there and go forward. That would be my only suggestion, in due course of how to get through this.
There's potential for that, I think, keeping in mind that that would be after July, after kind of the end of the fiscal year, so.
Right. We got a few more months left before we're getting to that. And then, and if we're thinking about it along the way, and particularly if they materialize, some of these listening sessions materialize more and are going to be more kind of intensive for us to handle, then we do have to keep it, we would have to put that into consideration. I would agree with you.
That last point, just to Anthony's point about just being aware of it, I think as we're going through our regular meetings, just keep an eye on how fast people have to talk, if you feel like you're getting your discussion points across. And then when we're at the retreat, we can use some of those reflections, or if we bring it up sooner, these meetings could be longer and less frequent. If that meant we could get through stuff and the committees could do their thing or something else, but just a discussion point to keep in mind to observe.
Sorry, last one just to add to it, but I think if, you know, this was a heavily attended public component to it, we covered a very major core of particular subjects and this, as I don't know if they're gonna be like this every month, but like the same problem that ran into city council with trimming their time. If we're gonna have these and there's gonna be, you know, outreach to bring people in to cover a topic or do something, we just have to acknowledge we're gonna be here longer. That's just kind of the bait, right? It is what it is.
That's a perfect segue into the fact that we do have an important staff update, but we only have 2 minutes left in this meeting. So if anyone would like to give Ellen the courtesy of 5 extra minutes to discuss the staff update, I'm sure you would appreciate that.
Motion.
Sarah with the motion to
extend the meeting to 6:35 for staff update.
and a second. Required. All those in favor, please audibly say aye. Any opposition? Thank you so much.
All right, so quickly, we have I don't know how many of you guys have already seen this book. No? Doesn't ring a bell, okay. My bad, come on. So this is our boards and commissions new board member training manual. We rolled this out last year. We asked all members, new and seasoned, to go through this. We asked the liaison to go through it with them. We have PowerPoint, we have a whole training. And somehow our own board fell through the cracks. So we have everyone else doing it, and somehow, thank you, Stacy, for letting us know that we missed the mark. So here are the options. You guys, no one, this is great because now you get a training as a real new board member. The rest of you still would like to make sure that you guys go through this. I am going to be working with Dale so that we can give you a few dates. I'm thinking that maybe we can have a hybrid in-person and virtual type of meeting with a few dates so that everyone can attend it. This is available online. So if you go to our website, boards and commissions page all the way at the bottom, under resources, this book is linked there. Tomorrow I'm going to be training another board at the retreat. If anybody wants to go to the transportation or the transit authority retreat tomorrow, you'll get the training, you're done. So, but it's really important. We go through all the basics, things that you guys are already doing, but some other things that hopefully makes it easier. So we will send you guys those dates. Any questions?
Can you send us the link to that so we don't have to go look for it?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yes, we can send you.
Yeah.
I know you're joking about the transit authority tomorrow, or not, if y'all are saying. But I think that's kind of cool. If we have a window where it's not like we have to be trained by the end of the month, Wouldn't it be kind of cool if our community engagement board said, instead of having our own training, we're gonna get a list of trainings from staff and we're gonna volunteer to go attend somebody else's so that we learn about some of these other boards and commissions? Just an idea.
Well, I mean, I will send tomorrow, is at 10 a.m. I could definitely send you.
I can do that, but
You guys can.
maybe like, we can get like a list of them, and if the goal is just to be trained by August or September, having a list of which ones are available and all of us committing, trying to go to one might be a really cool way for all of us to learn a bit more, reach out, have people learn about us, just an idea.
Yeah, now, to be honest, I don't know, so because this kind of falls on the liaison, some liaisons have already done theirs, and then they do it one-on-one as new members come in. Our TA is just one that likes to do it during their retreats. So, that's what, so, I mean, you guys can do it if you want, and maybe have other people come in if anything, but I will let you know if anyone else does ask for us to train them. But we'll definitely have options at least for this board. Try to get you guys all trained, and we'll send you the link.
Thank you for that. If you did not get the card, Chris, I'm sorry, I don't think that has these around. If you have an update or information, community information that you want to share and you have not gotten a note card, please put your name on it so I know who it came from and in case you're the contact person for that. And get them back to me before you leave so that I can hand them out. We have some links for information and documents that we need to send out, so we will get those done. Any other questions, updates, concerns before Pat?
Keep after that, you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, is there and
I have one. Yes.
Policy committee, please stay so we can take a new meeting time.
Okay, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for flexibility, for being on time, for input, all of those good things. If there's no other business to attend to, in a motion to adjourn.
So
By Leon and a second by Dr. Lane. All those in favor, audibly, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? We're done. 6:33. Thank y'all so much.